Hey everybody, what's up? My name's Doug, and today I would like to talk about one of the universal truths about fitted caps, especially with the New Era 5950. That is, sizes vary. Even within the same cap and size, you will find variation from cap to cap in the sizing and shape and features of that cap. Size is obviously the most important attribute because you want to get something that's comfortable, fits your head, etc. And it's what you look for is your standard size every time you go to buy a cap or order one online. So I've done a ton of videos on my channel about how to deal with the variation because I often show people how to edit their caps and get a good comfortable fit. But here I'd like to explore a little bit more why this happens, why the size variation occurs, and some of the things that you can do to try and avoid it and find the right caps for you, and also edit it if you don't get a cap that is quite right for you. So the first question is, why does this happen and why does it happen so often? Well, it's pretty straightforward. In my opinion, it's because a lot of the assembly process with a fitted cap is still done by hand. So I have no doubt that there's a lot of automation that's crept in to pattern cutting and some of the other detail elements that go into the cap construction. But there's some critical points in the assembly where this can be a good outcome or a bad outcome relative to the cap sizing. Now, the sizing ring in a cap is actually a rigid plastic strip that has pre-printed size lines on it. And what the assembler does is really loops this back on itself and stops the strip at one of those lines. So they make a loop out of it, line it up to the size that they're trying to make, and then this ring gets embedded into the bottom portion of the sweatband, so right along the bottom of this cap. Now that plastic ring does so much to determine the size of the cap because, like I said, it's rigid plastic. It gets stitched through it, so the fabric is often attached to this plastic sizing ring, and that sets up the whole cap for its size for the life of the cap. Now the variation may be a little bit more prevalent because New Era has really distributed its cap production to a number of contract manufacturers, so it's impossible to tell how standard everything is when we see caps coming from so many different origin locations. There's other details in the cap that come from some of these hand assembly steps, such as the crown height. So there's just a lot of things that are susceptible to variation in the fitted cap assembly process. The best recommendation I can give is to get to a physical store that might be nearby. I know that's not easy for everybody. If you've got a local Lids nearby or a fan shop of a local team, that's always a great place to go. My recommendation from there is that you grab a stack of caps. And for this, I always recommend pick out your standard size, but also go 1/8 above your standard size, 1/8 below your standard size, and grab as many caps in those three sizes that you can get your hands on in the store. Now, what I usually do is start with my standard size and just try them on for initial fit. Are they snug? Are they loose? Etc. And I go through a pretty quick process of elimination with the ones that I know won't work. As a natural 7.5, there's sometimes I'll encounter a 7 5/8. It's way too big. It's on the far end of the spectrum, and there's no way I'd be able to shrink it to get a good fit. So I'll put that one aside right away. Other times, I'll try on a 7 3/8, which is 1/8 below my normal. And I'll know that even if I curve the visor and stretch it, it's probably never going to get to a comfortable position. So I'll put that one away too. But you would be surprised to find that sometimes those sizes above and below are actually closer to your natural size, and they could be the right cap for you. So that's why I always say grab 1/8 above, 1/8 below, plus your normal size, get as many caps as you can, start going through them. You can also be looking out for other details like crown height and things like that. And for those of you that prefer to curve your visors, remember you're going to pick up a little bit of extra room when you curve the visor. A lot of times I'll just do a gentle curving while I'm in the store so that I'm not permanently curving it, but just kind of flexing it while it's on my head to see what it's going to look like and what extra room I might get from curving that visor. Now, for the second occasion when you're buying a cap, which is online ordering, and I recognize that you're not going to find all the designs that you want to buy in a store. My recommendation is to always order your standard size. That's your baseline. Be confident that you can probably manipulate it above or below that size with some simple tools. And again, I mentioned I've got tons of videos on my channel that give you some good suggestions on how to edit your caps with regard to either stretching or shrinking. And on the topic of stretching, I would say if you're somebody who's going to buy a lot of fitteds, go ahead and invest in something called the hat jack. I talk about it all the time. It's a great thing to have around. Again, I've got a video that shows how to use it, but it's a great investment to refresh your caps if you get some that are tight or they tighten up over time from wearing and sweating in them. It's just an essential tool if you are a fitted cap fan. Now, if you need to shrink a cap, you're going to want to have a spray bottle, a hair dryer, maybe some filler material as I've shown in some other videos. And those will allow you the ability to shrink a cap and get it more fit to your head in case you get one from an online order that comes in too large. When ordering caps online, I have some viewers that have said that they either buy multiple caps in that same design or different sizes in that same design. And I don't always recommend this, even though it can be effective for finding the right cap for you. The reasons why I don't recommend this are, number one, you have to pay return shipping on the ones that you don't want. Secondly, you're tying up your money for 2 or 3 weeks by buying more caps than you need and then having to wait to get credit for the ones that you return, so your money's kind of locked up. Lastly, you might be taking inventory off the shelf for your fellow cap fans that might be interested in that cap. So just keep them in mind before considering ordering more than one version of a cap. So just to recap and wrap it up here, caps vary. It is a universal truth in fitted caps, so we've all had to get used to it. Your best bet is trying to physically find the caps that you want and try them on in a store. However, with the explosion of fitteds, really hard to do that with every design. I mean, nobody stocks that kind of inventory that we have access to online, so you got to order it online. Stick with your standard size and just be ready with the gear in case you need to edit that cap. So that includes a hat jack, hair dryer, spray bottle, etc. Just be prepared with that. And again, I've got links below in the description. And I would say that really that was the primary goal of me starting my channel, because I had gotten used to applying a lot of these techniques, and I just kind of wanted to share that with everybody else, because fitteds are meant to be worn, and I just really want to make them as comfortable as possible. So that is pretty much what I had to cover, and that is a big topic in fitted caps, obviously. So as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.